Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday morning daily refinement mastermind call. We do this live on the internet on Wednesdays, but live every other day privately in our Patreon group. Today's topic is just going to be small, meaningful steps towards your goal. And I wanted to share a story with you guys, which I thought, good morning, everybody, welcome to the, was pretty interesting. Yesterday, a CEO of Dolls Kill came to my shop to look around, which is interesting because he has 500 employees and his company does $500,000 in revenue a day. It's a gigantic company. He came to visit and I was like, why are you visiting? And he's like, this reminds me of when I first started. And maybe I can give you an idea of how I went through my stages. And also hopefully I can learn a couple of things from you while I'm here, which is interesting. So he came to check out my shop. And a bunch of people were like watching him because they're like, what's so different about this guy? My employees, like, why does he have such a big company? Well, he was very observant, asked a lot of questions, very quiet, listened to me talk. And this is interesting. When he started 12 years ago, Dolls Kill was a reseller. They did not make their own products. The topic today is small steps. So he and his wife, they did it out of their house. They bought different brands to resell based on her knowledge of the 90s. Okay, because she's a 90s baby. And the 90s is still trending now, you guys know. 90s is very popular. So 12 years ago, they started it. They resold popular brands from the 90s based on her knowledge. And she started on eBay. Her average sale price was $100 selling used clothing 12 years ago. Okay, so she was on the trends and she met this guy at a party and then the rest is history. They started ordering things like she liked, but like in larger quantities. So like they resold 12 years ago. Fast forward to today, they have 10,000 SKUs every season, which is either like 2 seasons a year. It's 10,000 new SKUs. Every single one is their own brand. Okay, but they started as a reseller. And over time, they just started making the same things that sold that somebody else made, if that makes sense. They did not reinvent the wheel. So he told me it started from in their house to 1,000 square foot, to 3,000 square foot, to 5,000 square foot, to 10, to 30, to 100, to 300. Their current warehouse is 500,000 square feet. It's insane. So their whatnot is just down the street from where I am at. And I went there to talk to them about the post office because the post office won't pick up at my location because there's too many packages. They had the same problem. It took them a long time to get the post office to pick up from them. And they were giving me some tips on how to do that. But I just want to encourage everyone to start small and don't reinvent the wheel. They didn't reinvent the wheel. They only sold items that were doing well. $100 ASP means you really know what you're doing. That's a lot. That means you're really, really, really on trend. And if you're selling pre-owned stuff for $100, then right on the money, you know exactly what's popular, what's in demand right now. And before the call, Sally brought up TikTok. And TikTok trends are really, really, really popular. The CEO came in. He's got to be in his 50s. He had 10 TikToks to share with me of things that were on fire. There was a pickle shirt of different kinds of pickles. And like a 15-year-old girl sold $2 million worth of them. It's really hot. It's really popular. She knew how to do it. She knew how to get other people to market her shirt. That's just one SKU, one item, $2 million. So this is, it doesn't matter your age. You can learn something from somebody new. He came to my shop, shared a couple of things that worked really well with him. One thing that works really well with him that I want to share with you guys. Oh, Jeff says he can't get the pickle shirt off of his TikTok. I know it's everywhere, but he was showing me how that works. And it's just, he had 10 different TikToks to show me of different people that were utilizing these trends that work. And I want everyone to focus on the next incremental step that you can make that'll improve your business. You can't skip from 0 to 500,000 square foot warehouse. It's incrementally improving, and you can't do it if you don't sell items that are on trend. They've got to be on trend, otherwise it takes forever. Danny, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. This might sound dumb, but I'm not. I just literally signed on to TikTok recently. Is there a way to get to the trends? Like, is there a specific way you have to do it? I'm not familiar with TikTok at all. Like, how are there channels that you follow, or like what's the specifics on that? And I don't know if that's off subject, so we can go over it later, if anything. But I was just curious. Thank you.
It's not off topic. So today we're talking about incrementally improving. And if you guys watch Tech and Sports' latest video, he interviews this guy that's the goat of the rag. And the guy says that he became culturally aware. Like he would find something at the rag that he did not recognize. He would go home, he would research it, and he did that over and over and over again. Sports, history, famous people, TV shows, all of that stuff. You figure out what's relevant, what's not relevant. Almost every single thing in the world has a cult following. Almost everything. People like what they like. So on TikTok, every fifth thing is an advertisement, just like on Instagram or whatever. So you want to pay attention to the advertisement because people have spent a lot of money to get that advertisement there. So they're trying to post something that's relevant. And over time of just scrolling through the app, it'll start to know your interests. It'll start to know what's recommended, and it will, just like everything else, it'll pepper in things that I think you might be interested in. And if the same things keep getting recommended to you, that means they are relevant to a lot of people. It's the same thing with eBay. When people are scrolling, eBay will recommend items to the customer, hoping they will buy it, if that makes sense. eBay is more straightforward than TikTok though, because eBay is a purchase button on every single listing. On TikTok, sometimes people are just doing it to be trendy. They're not selling you anything. Kayla, good morning.
Good morning. So as we're building our Rolodex, getting incrementally better,
Yep.
So I struggle with like staying up with trends because I'm not a very trendy person.
Yep.
And I tend to stick with more, like in my business, with more evergreen brands and evergreen styles.
Yep.
So with the trends, if I'm trying to pay more attention to that, is that more about style or brand or both?
It's the science of what is cool and what is not. Of course, classic is cool. So anything that, like Paul Newman, he's not of my generation, but I still think he's cool. Everything that guy does is cool to me, even though I don't know if he's still alive, and I don't know how old he would be, but like everything that guy does is cool to me. So classic is still cool, but the thing is, it's just oh, Matt says he's dead. The all of the trends that guy made during his life are still cool now. So I think that you don't have to be up to date on what's trending currently. I don't want people to get like worried that they don't know what's happening right now. You just need to know something about a period of history that was relevant to you, because 40s are popular, 50s are popular, 60s are popular.
I feel like if we're trying to stay on trend with what's relevant now, like that like can change day by day, it seems like. I mean, yeah, like things come in style and stick around for a season.
Yep.
But it feels like if you don't get on that train right away, then you're gonna miss it.
You're gonna miss the $100 sale price, but you won't miss the $30 sale price. Like Taylor Swift trending hard, right? Yeah. It doesn't mean her stuff won't be worth 30 later. It's just worth 100 right now.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
If you're right on trend, right on it, you can get the highest ASP because people want it right now. But later in the future, it's still worth something, not as much. But when I think of America, I think Paul Newman. But some people think Bud Light and NASCAR. Yeah. It's the same country. Good morning, Sally.
Hi, Chris. Today's topic is incremental changes. So, You know, I look at what you're talking about the trending things, and I think I could spend days in TikTok trying to get smart. How would you incrementally begin to chase a unicorn? For example, would you pick an age? Would you pick a demographic? Would you pick a topic? How do you put your toe into this without jumping down a rabbit hole?
So it's a very, very, very good question. So what you would initially do is figure out, in the group, we recommend zip code call. So you find out some genre in your area that's selling well, whether it's shoes or clothing or furniture or something in your area that you can find. Then you start with that piece and then build your incremental knowledge. That's what the guy was doing at the rag house in text video. He would find a shirt, go home and learn about it. Then go find another shirt and go home and learn about it. He just stuck in the category of clothing for a long time and ended up learning a lot. So what Dollskill does is they look at TikTok, they see what's trending by just scrolling, and then they produce that for a cheaper amount. Like when you think Hot Topic, that's the kind of stuff that they sell. Cheap, wear it 1 or 2 times and throw it away type of clothing that's on trend that they sell for $10 to $40 that they see on TikTok, and then they make it. If we're trying to do the same thing with trending, I think it might be too late by the time you find it, because it's already, by the time you find it, it'll be out of trend already. I recommend categorically starting in one niche and growing outwards from that, rather than scrolling on TikTok. I scroll on TikTok just to get an idea. It's very uncommon to do that and actually find something that you can sell.
Maybe you're saying it's rather than going on TikTok and hunting for something to chase, go into the niche that you know, and then go to TikTok and see if it's trending or what element of that is trending.
You can do that. I think that more and more influencer marketing is becoming more effective. If you guys have you guys been influenced? You guys are in this group because I influenced you to come into this group. You guys watch something and then you're influenced to buy that printer or that lighting kit or all of that. So I think it's important, if you're in the clothing industry, to see what's on trend, on style. What are kids wearing at your local high school, college? What is quiet luxury? What are people talking about? Cottage core, what is that? The more you learn about your category, the easier it is to find that $30 profit or $20 or $30 profit item. And then if you want a $100 ASP, generally those people that are nailing that are in that niche. So just as an idea, Sally, the lady that I was mentioning this morning, she is a DJ. So she was in the audience looking at all these people, and whoever was the coolest to her, she was finding that at the thrift store and then reselling it for 100. And I'm sure she knew all the keywords and everything because she was in that party girl scene. So like if you're in that scene, it's a lot easier to find things that match. Like I sold cars. I could definitely sell car parts for a living. I know enough to get started. And then I know, like I would start with cars that I've owned and then just keep learning about that and then spread wider and wider and wider. Start with the base, and I just think that analogy of finding one shirt, going home, researching it, and doing that over and over again, that would work. Kayla?
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, you're good. Eric in the chat says Paul Newman's name became inextricably linked to the Rolex Daytona when his wife Joanne gave it to him when he was racing in 1972. See, look, this is the knowledge that I think is interesting. They said that he wore the watch until his death in 2008, and the watch, Paul Newman Rolex, was at the time the most expensive watch ever sold. It was like $12 million or something. He gave it to his daughter's boyfriend, and he wore it this entire time. And it was $210 when it was produced, but now Paul Newman Rolex is in the 150,000s. It went up 1,000 times. But anyway, I just think that whole era of like the that American muscle time, man, it just seems so cool compared to the plastic cars now. But incrementally, step by step, let's ask people what they can do at the very, very next step they can do. And I'll give you guys a couple things that I can do to start the conversation. So yesterday I was training my staff about item specifics. So I said, okay, one of my ladies always says, this is a cute piece. And I said, let's not, you can say it's a cute piece, but only one time. After that, you need to explain why it's cute. Let's go over the closure. Let's go over their stretch or not. Let's go over the measurements of the item. Let's go over the material, the wash. Let's go over the inseam. Let's go over, is it, what kind of flare is it? Because there's different kinds of flare on a pair of jeans. Is there whiskering? What is whiskering? All of these different things to try to help her incrementally learn about the product, because yesterday she was selling jeans. So those are just incremental little improvements that add up over time if you keep doing that. Let's start with Catherine. Catherine, what can you do? What's your very next incremental step, you think?
My next incremental step is, well, I'm working right now on switching my inventory over, but I'm also going through the items that are in my current bins and revising the titles. And there are other things that I can do, but even with incremental steps, I feel like you can get overwhelmed if you try to do them all at once. So kind of the point to me of incremental steps is to do one at a time. But as I go through my inventory and renumber it, I'm also trying to revise the listings to make sure they're the best they can be. So I only have to do that all one time.
That's a fantastic method. So you would essentially get one box of old inventory system, potentially walk over to your desk, you could update the inventory system all to your new one, or you could go into all those, adjust the titles, pricing, whatever to make those sell. Are you converting, or are you just leaving the old ones in the old system?
You mean converting them to the new number system?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm converting them. So I look at what's in that bin. I revise the titles or the listings. It's not always the titles that need work. Sometimes I have them in the wrong category or whatever, or the price is off. And then I number them with the new system.
Do you ever think to yourself, this is not worth changing to the new system?
No. What I usually think to myself is, I wish I was doing this faster. So I could go on to the next step and the next step and it continually improving.
How do you mean do it faster? Or why do you say that?
Well, because I'm not, I could maybe knock it out in a weekend, but our weekends have been really busy. And I wish I just had a weekend to just do it all at once. But I'm doing it, when I have the time to pull a bin, do it, pull a bin, do it. But we're slowing down now in terms of other things going on in our world right now. So now I think I can do more bins during the day than I have been doing and get it done quicker. I probably won't have it done by October 1st, fourth quarter starts, but hopefully shortly into fourth quarter. That whole system will be done. All the listings will be revised and that need revision. And so then I'm really ready for fourth quarter.
I'm just trying to think here. Max is asking in the chat, would you say the main point of incremental improvement is to hold the line? Andrew is saying it's so you don't grow too fast and spend yourself out of business. So I would say yes, before you make an incremental, because a lot of people think incremental improvement as increase the number of listings. How many people think that? A lot, I bet. But incremental improvement could be better inventory system, could be fixing all of your titles. I think most people are in that stage, to be honest. They need to go back and redo their entire store before they increase the listing goal. It's very difficult to, what I see a lot of people do is increase their listing goal and fix their store at the same time. And like what they're really doing is just adding more bad listings in while they fix bad listings, and to be in the same place later. I would say that at 100, listings a day when you're in that beginning stage should have 2 to 5 sales a day, because you're really just picking great items at that point. And some people reach 2 to 5 sales like when they're at 20 to 50 listings, just because they're only picking up great stuff. So Trevor, good morning.
Hey, so good morning. And so I've been like going back and fixing titles, and I have like 100 items that I need to fix because I had no idea what I was doing. Now I feel like I have a pretty good handle on it, but it's like I found I had like this Ralph Lauren button up that I had listed for probably like 3 times less than what I probably should have had it for, and it was just a bad title. Another thing I'm noticing though is that a lot of my items that are older are probably like $8 or less. I'm just trying to decide, like, is this really worth my time, or should I just lower the price on those and just say, just screw it and just focus more on like the 100 really good items that I need to keep adding.
What's your time worth?
With the new stuff, I think I don't know, probably around like 40 an hour or something like that. I was trying to calculate it the other day, but it almost feels like, yeah, it might not be worth my time to do that.
Well, I mean, I would say that everyone in the group right now, your time's worth at least 50 an hour. Because you think about the opportunity cost of not working a normal job and or improving in some career, you've decided to work for yourself. So you have to make more when you work for yourself, because it's only you. No one's going to save you when you work for yourself. So everyone's time is worth at least $50 an hour. And I think if you're thinking, is this worth my time? Probably it's not.
Yeah, probably. I think you're probably right, but
Probably it's not. Like,
because I went through my whole store and I think I took off like $500 because my pricing was just so off.
yeah, does anybody here think it's not worth their time to learn brands and learn items that sell for more money? Like, that's not worth their time. Right? Nobody, right? Does anybody say, yes, it's a waste? How about, is it worth your time to make your inventory system solid? Or is it worth your time to learn how to do titles? Is it worth your time fixing listings that suck, that sell for $8? Probably not. I would say no. You could just donate. You could probably donate them and not even notice anything. You could donate all of those items this weekend, and on Monday, you wouldn't even notice. Didn't affect you at all. No effect on you, except for your store is smaller. They weren't going to sell anyway.
So I was thinking also maybe if I just took them and put them to like $5, that it might help me just get more feedback, because I don't mind doing like shipping. I ship pretty quickly, so I don't think it would notice as much if I just like if I sold a lot, and then I think maybe if I just do it for like 30 days and it doesn't sell then I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna take all this stuff down.
Does anybody else do my method of $1 plus shipping? Because I like, why 5 plus shipping? It doesn't matter. Like, at this point, when you're just eating the bullet.
I actually do $1 plus shipping on a lot of stuff. I'll go down incrementally, like I do 5 and then I go down to 1. But yeah, I also do 1.
Because like, sometimes a customer will be like, are you sure? Seems like that's kind of low. And I'll be like, yeah, I am clearing out inventory. So if you want a really great deal on a whole bunch of my items, you could even combine shipping. Or like, is this a mistake? And I'm like, no, this Ralph Lauren shirt, I've had it for a while and it's a size small. If you want it, $1 plus shipping. Let's go. You know, I just want to get that feedback. I want to get that rep. I really do not want to drive it back to the thrift store. That's like, if it takes you an hour to do that, you just spent $40 or $50 doing that. I'd rather just set it on fire or group it in. $1 plus shipping. If it doesn't sell, I don't know what to say, right?
Hey, I'm going through that right now, my friend. And I've been doing my daily math just to see like, hey, what's going on? So Monday I shipped out 29 packages of some of them went for more than $1, but a lot of it was all my auctions kind of went off on Sunday because I'm just kind of clearing house. And I did my numbers with 29 packages. I sold like $268 worth of goods. So my ASP is real low, but my actual take home was $3.90 some cents. But to give you hope, last night I had some stuff up on Facebook Marketplace for a local meetup. You know, hey, I'm just clearing out some inventory. I got $80 for 25 pieces. So I'm reconsidering like, hey, that dollar plus shipping, because they're jeans, they're kind of heavy. It just was not worth it. Now I agree, like, hey, driving back to the thrift store is going to be painful. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to probably have a garage sale or something like that and put up 500 pairs of jeans. You know, I mean, I should do better there than here on eBay, just liquidating like that. And it just lets me know like stuff that I thought was a treasure is, you know, I mean, the actual cash value was less than $1.
A bunch of people have asked, is it worth it to ship these items for $1 plus shipping? I think so, because you get a feedback, you get a velocity bonus on eBay. If you sell a bunch of items, eBay likes that, especially if you fulfill them properly.
Could I ask you this, Chris? Yeah. My traffic went wonky. Like, don't get me wrong, my conversion rate, my views, everything right up. But like this morning, I only had 2 shirts to ship out because I had so much, I felt like I had so much traffic, so much stuff, views on auctions. Cause now I look, you know, my store's 750 pieces, but 350 pieces right now are on auction just to kind of clear out some of that old inventory. And I just really want to get to that level 0 so I can start to grow, you know, as you are instructing.
So one thing on that, I think if you have a big sales day, it might be worth it to wait in line and have them scanned immediately. I actually think that if you have packages that are not delivered yet and you had a big boost in sales, eBay wants those packages to arrive to make sure you know what you're doing. Because just in my experience on eBay, if I had a big sales day, I don't think it was eBay throttling me to even it out. I think it was eBay confirming I did a good job on those sales before the traffic comes back. I don't think they penalize you for having too good of sales. They want to make sure those are good sales, in my opinion. That's why I think one of the things tech does is it's like mandatory that the people who pick it up scan it. I think it has a tremendous effect on the algorithm. When the algorithm knows there are no items that are pending, they're all on the way or delivered. And when you start doing a lot of volume, eBay takes on a lot of risk. If you ship 20 packages over the weekend, you've never shipped more than 5. They're like, are 15 of these gonna suck? They don't know. So I think the algorithm will slow you down and make sure that the items arrive. So, but overall, more velocity is more velocity. You sell more per week, they'll give you more sales per week. That I've never seen that happen. Like I had a great month and I kept adding in great stuff and it didn't continue the next month. It's usually all your good stuff sold this month and next month you have to start over from the beginning. That's why I think that when I watched Osborne to Thrift on Instagram and he said, I know next month's not going to be good because this month I didn't source well. I can't keep it going. I can see the snowball will stop. And a lot of people don't see that because they're having really great sales and they don't see that their inventory is dwindling. You got to like get all those good things back in the store. Matt.
The other thing to think about if you're trying to do something like a $1 plus shipping is returns. A lot of those people, they're still finicky, even though they're paying $1 plus shipping. So especially if it's something that's over a pound, you're really going to lose out long term if you did it like that. I kind of like Tech's model where he says he never wants to lose money to get rid of something.
I agree. Danny?
Yeah, I just wanted to share. I mean, since I joined the group, I started doing some things different. Like I did something similar to what you guys say to do, which is to fix my titles. I basically deleted all of my items, and I unlisted them, I guess, if you want to call it that. And then what I've been doing is I've been doing five, on average, about 5 or 10 that I put into my drafts, and then I list 5 a day. I've been listing 5 a day for a while now, and I've seen my sales go up, and my pricing was also way off. Like I was pricing things way too high, and I'm just trying to move everything out so I could start new. And I've been averaging anywhere from 3 to 5 sales on a daily, with a couple of days here and there that I don't sell anything. But for the most part, what I do is if I list an item and I know it hasn't sold or it didn't have any views, I give it usually about 30 days. And if in 30 days I don't sell it, then I just remove it and I either redonate it, give it away, or throw it away. And it's been working for me.
Thanks, Danny. Mandy?
Yeah, you just said something about the money and stuff. I haven't heard anybody in the group talk about, like, in forecasting about your store value versus your sales. And I was just thinking, because we're tracking that in the in the Tuesday tech call, in the 100K, that our store values week over week. And I'm wondering if can you predict, if because you can't sell $1 million unless you have $1 million listed, right?
Yep.
Through the year. So let's say you have a store worth $250,000, and then each month, like, you're selling 25% of that. You could forecast that out. So if your store is now worth 300,000, you take that same 20%, what you could forecast was what your potential would be if you're same like items and stuff. I don't know if you've heard anybody tracking that.
I have. Oh, Sally was tracking that recently. She brought this up maybe a couple of months ago, saying that she wanted her store value to go up. So it's a little bit of a a little bit of a vanity metric, because it's possible you have your items overpriced. It's possible. But if your items are not overpriced and they're priced according to market, that would be a good indicator. So your number of items listed and your amount listed would have to go up each month for you to have a better chance at earning more money. So one thing about tech, I want to try to I want to re-emphasize something about the way Tech talks. He tries to say things that are always true. And Mandy just said one of those things, which is like, you can't sell $1 million if you don't have $1 million listed. That's 100. Like, first off, you got to get the amount of items listed that equal the profit that you're looking for. That's a first principle. Got to have that. But then also, it can't be inflated. Just got to be careful, because that amount listed, I almost think that shave 30% off of that, that's what your actual sales are going to be. And then, but that's what happened to Osborne to Thrift. He had like 30,000 listed. Then he had a great month and it went down to like 17,000 listed or something, like half. And he's like, oh no, I didn't replenish that. So next month is going to be bad. I got to quickly, not quickly, but I got to get some good stuff into my store.
But if you're still good on your systems, like everything that you guys teach, like your sale through is still the same, your prices is still the same, you still only buy when it meets your metrics, like you've done this consistently. I've been tracking my store value, but I haven't been tracking it against like my sales for the month. So I'm curious, I might start doing that to see if I could forecast, like, if I continually to add $10,000 to my store every month, I could expect so much more in growth. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a really good predictor of how your store is going to end up doing, is the amount listed. And also the number of items that are unlisted is a really good thing to know. So like, I don't know if anybody listing right now has unlisted items, but having a clear idea of how many, so let's say you have 10,000 items, or that's too big of a number. You have 500 items in stock and 100 items unlisted. Incremental improvement could be, I want to reduce my 100 unlisted to 50, and I want to have 500 items to stay the same, but I want the dollar amount to go up. That's another thing that I was thinking, like with Dana's store being limited by the size that she wants to work in, doesn't mean that her income is limited. She just needs to find more expensive items. So it's a higher per square foot operation. Like a jewelry store does not need a big footprint in the mall. They can have a small shop and do a lot. A real estate firm does not need a big footprint. They can just get a little tiny office and do millions of dollars of sales. But if you're selling shoes, you need a big building, like Famous Footwear, Journeys. Those are big things, like a big ass store and the big ass storage in the back. The shoes take up a lot of room. Matt, do you have another comment? Oh no. Okay. But yeah, Sally, what's an incremental improvement for you? And do you want to touch base on the dollar amount listed? Because you had brought that up before.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a caveat to that. You can check me, but I'm pretty sure, although I've heard it said differently, that when you check the value of your inventory, it doesn't take into consideration coupons, but it does take into consideration markdowns. So when you're checking your value of your store, make sure that you're kind of doing apples to apples in terms of if you suddenly have, sometimes I have a 10% markdown, sometimes a 15% markdown. Make sure that's okay. My incremental steps, and they seem to have been working for me in the first place, was such a big problem. I didn't see how I was going to solve it. So I started one morning, I said, gee, do your inventory by age and then take off, delist the first 20 items that with your discounts are selling under $12. And I put them in a box and I said, I'm either going to put these in a retail store or I'm going to get rid of them or I'm going to donate them. So I did that for a while. And then I thought, okay, well, you really don't want to have anything in your store that's been there over a year unless it's extraordinary. So the next step I did that for several days, that's taking off 20. So now I don't have anything in my store that's selling under, $15, for example. My next step was look at the oldest listings and every day take off 10 of them. And when you have time, take a look at those 10, put them in your end listing. And then by day, you can look at those 10 and say, what the hell's wrong with these? Are they crap? Have I priced them incorrectly? Sometimes I've had them in the wrong category. They're in there for a year for some reason. I correct them. And if they're still of value, if they're in my target, then I put them back in. And I've been able to reduce my inventory, increase the value of my inventory, and increase my sales because as I've put better products in my store, I'm getting more traffic and it's slopping over into those items that have been a little bit of a hard sell. So those are little bites that I've been taking to do incremental improvement.
So I have a question, Sally. As a shrewd businesswoman as you are, let's say you have an employee that's at the bottom 10% of your company. Would you put them on like a 90-day probation period where they need to shape up to the performance, or do you fire them?
Well, neither one. I would call them in and I'd say, let's talk about how you think things are going. And I would find out if there's some element I'm not aware of. Well, geez, you put me in a station where the camera doesn't work. So I would go through that and I'd say, okay, the important thing is not every job is for every person. That's a shot across the bow that says not all's well. Not every job is for every person. I want this to work for you and for me both. What can we do together to make this work? And so we talk a little bit and I say, okay, I'm going to check back with you in a couple of weeks and let's see if it's a problem that we can solve or if it just isn't a good fit. You would be surprised how many employees suddenly come up to the task because they maybe have not been clear on that this isn't a suggestion that they come to work and work well. It's actually a job requirement and it gives them control of their own future. So when you meet in 2 weeks and you say, you know what, we talked again, this isn't the job for everyone and it doesn't look to be a good fit for me. And then don't say anything.
So I was just going to relate that to, do you take the 10 lowest performing listings in your store and say, let's go into my office, we need to talk and figure out what's wrong with those listings? Because
Nope.
that's
Yeah. No, your problem, if everybody else is doing well, your problem isn't your listings. Your problem is the employee, either capability, motivation, or ability.
no,
And you
that's what I'm saying. What if it is the listings fault that it's not selling?
wouldn't your other employees also be having the same problem?
No, I'm just trying to use a
Are you talking
metaphor.
about Whatnot? Or are you talking about eBay?
I'm using a metaphor for you. You are there in there trying to make your employee a better person, right?
Yeah.
But are you trying to make your listing a better listing?
I think they're two separate issues.
Hmm.
Making a listing a good listing is my issue. I either haven't trained them right, or I've got crap product or something.
Got it.
Don't give the employee shouldn't solve my problems, but the employee is solely responsible. With me doing everything that's humanly possible, I'm not going to do unnatural acts to make them successful. But if they have a bad printer, a bad camera, I'm going to do what I can. And they're going to come to the conclusion that, I don't want this job because, the pressure's on it. I can't do it, don't want to do it. And likely it's not that employee is either going to improve dramatically, or they're going to come in and say, you know what, you're right, I don't think this is a good fit, and I'm going to go to work at McDonald's. So it's cheaper to fix an employee than it is to get a new one. But you don't want to change your standards to meet someone's deficiencies. So give them an opportunity, give them a leg up to help them solve anything you can solve, but ultimately it's up to them.
Okay, thank you. Trevor?
Kind of like further on, like what we were talking about earlier. So I was like going through some of my old stuff, and I had like a few of my friends helping me with my store a long time ago, and the listings were kind of just bad. And I'm sure that's probably the case with a lot of people that just joined, that there's a lot of listings that probably should be sold for more, but in like the old stuff that they listed, but they haven't fixed it yet. Like I have a pair of two different pairs of Carhartt pants, and then like a Ralph Lauren shirt that, looking back now, like I need to like go back and fix those specifically. I think it's a lot better than going back and fixing $8 items. And then like God, there's a second part to this, I can't remember, but like, oh, and I was thinking that like maybe there's a lot of people out there that just joined that are kind of like in a lull of false security, because they have a somewhat decent sized store, but it's kind of like mine where there's a lot of bad items. So they think like, hey, I have like 300 items, but really they probably only have like 50 that are decent.
Yeah. So Oda brought up this analogy from Jack Welch, which is what I was trying to allude to, which is the top 20% promote and reward, middle 70% coach and train, bottom 10% fire, get rid of. So if we were to do this with our listings, right? So let's say the top 20% of our listings that do really well, we know a lot about them. We just keep buying those ones, or buy more of those ones. And the bread and butter items that we're going to sell, just keep on chugging. And in the bottom 10%, don't fix them. Just remove them from your store immediately. Do not lower it to $1. Just get rid of it until you're only left with top 20%, or the next 70%. You don't have a bottom 10% anymore. I have done that. I can tell you that it's literally insane having every single item be $20 profit or more. It's mind blowing. Like I don't have any of the bottom 10% anymore. There's no one to fire. Everyone's good at work. All the items are good at work. And my whole day is, none of my day is fixing old items. And I think maybe we just follow Jack Welch. He's a pretty good businessman. Just fire the bottom 10%, promote the top 20%. Like the things that are selling really well for you, ask every single person you know about where to get those. Exhaust every possible resource to find more of the top 20%. And don't worry about the bread and butter. You're always going to find the bread and butter. And the bottom 10%, you can just fire them.
I'm sorry, I thought we were really talking about employees. I see that you were making an analogy that went right over my head over bad listings. And just what you said, if they're crap and not worth, if you can't, you can't, everybody picks up a wounded bird, but you don't pick up a dead one and try to bring it back to life. So if it's a dead bird, get rid of it, bury it. If it's just wounded and you can fix it, fix it.
Right. Like, is it worth it to rehab something that's like, if somebody steals from you, probably just fire them. Is it worth it to go through the whole thing and fix the person when 90% of people do not steal from you? So just don't worry about the come back to my office for that person. Mandy?
Yeah, what's interesting is like that 10, like get rid of the 10%. You know, I've been in the group now for over 2 years. And so as your Rolodex grows, your bottom 10% changes.
It
So
does.
like your first year,
Yeah.
you think, oh, I'm doing great. And now that I look back, like I got rid of that 10%. I've gotten rid of probably 50% of what I used to list, you know,
Definitely.
like, cause your 10% just keeps changing.
It keeps
And
changing.
so that
Yep.
compounding and exponential and everything just keeps snowballing. I definitely, I get rid of the bottom 10%. Don't even focus on it.
It is weird when it starts to be like a big number. Like, I got rid of a couple of my flea market vendors, and each one I made $70,000. Like, that's now my bottom 10%. Like, that's no longer worth my time. And before that was like, that was totally worth my time. That was all of my time. And now it's not worth my time. Like, where a CEO he wants to cook a hamburger for his family instead of talking for $20,000. That $20,000 in the bottom 10% of his time. He does not want to do that. Nope, not worth his time. So like, it's interesting, right? Your time becomes more and more and more valuable as you get older, and you just pick the things that, like, hopefully it becomes easier to say no. That's an incremental improvement. What do you guys think? Is it easier to say no now that you're in the group? Can you say no easier to bad items or bad people or bad food or silly ideas? At this point, unless it's a hell yeah, it's pretty much a no. It's gotta be a yes or no. Incremental improvements are huge. So how is eBay open on location this year? It's starting today, and people are asking.
Yesterday was on location, like parties, and then today is just online, is my understanding.
Patty says that eBay employees stuff from the group.
They started at 11. When I logged in, it said 11. I don't know if that was Central Time or because I'm in Central, or if it was Pacific. It wasn't very clear.
We'll post stuff about it today for sure.
But the breakouts look really good. Between like at I think 1:32 and 2:30, like they had like 5 plus breakout sessions. Like one was all about niches. So like if you're in sneakers, if you're in luxury, if you're in cards, if you're in collectibles, like they had a lot of different breakout sessions, which was interesting.
Let's go with Dylan. Dylan, good morning. Do you want to share an incremental improvement you had?
Good morning. Yeah, so as we're talking, I'm actually going through my month sales prices, and since really focusing on getting rid of my bottom and increasing or sticking with the sales price that I wanted, it's crazy. Like I'm looking at my numbers this month going, okay, cool, it's working. This is awesome. And this is also my first year. I started my shop last September. So this is my first year going into Q4, like fully, like with my store, like full of stuff. So it's really exciting to see everything kind of working, coming together. You had actually said like when I was going to start kind of weeding out all my stuff that I might see the number of sales going up every day. And I did not believe you, but it's true. So I appreciate that. I thought for sure my sale numbers were going to drop because I decreased how many I was listing every day, and they have not. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, that is unusual advice, right? Like cut your listing, go from 10 to 5 and focus on improving your store, and your sales might go up. And it doesn't sound like that would work.
Right. Yeah, I did not believe that at all. And in fact, like the first 2 days they dropped, I was like, see, it's not working. He's wrong. This isn't working. And it totally came back up. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it'll
That's
take a second for eBay to understand what you're trying to do, but then it'll
Yeah.
be done.
Yeah.
Dana, do you want to share incremental improvement?
Yeah, I was laughing because I kind of did the same thing as Dylan, and I dropped my listings a little bit and tried to pick up better items. And my sales have increased, and I really appreciate the whole idea of incremental and going slow. And so I guess I tend to be a little bit more on the cautious side, and rather than like, oh, I need to double my listings in order to make more money. Now, my focus is, no, I need to really hone in, know what I'm picking up, and that it's going to sell fast and it's going to sell for good money. And that's what I need to put and list in my store. So, that's an important one. And then I think the other incremental change that I've been trying to make is going to more increasing my my route. And again, I'm conservative. I kind of go slow. So for me to just go to like 2 or 3 more new places is a big change for me, but I think it's incremental. So yeah, those are a couple of things.
Definitely. If you go to 2 or 3 more stores and find 1 or 2 more things that you didn't know about or that are great, it really adds to it. And that's something I learned about when I first started. Hustlebee and Glenn Hustler Hacks came and visited me, and we went to stores, and we went to 19 stores in one day. That's a lot. And they had never been here before.
Wow.
So like
Wow.
they had a route, and then we went, and they were okay saying no. We blanked at a whole bunch of different stores. They're like, we just want to find $40 profit items or higher.
Wow.
So it was a high amount. But I think they went home with 16 pairs each. But it took all day. And of course, they had never been here before, so it wasn't a big expectation. And I think that the 16 pairs that they got, 10 were from one good store. And then the rest of them, they only found a handful here and there.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I think the other thing about going to, increasing your route or trying new places is I feel like different places have kind of a different vibe. And they might have, certain kinds of clothing, let's say, or items that you don't really find a lot in maybe a different city that's, almost next door, but the 2 cities have different vibes. So I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting too. And, put it in the back of my mind, like, okay, well, this store kind of has these kinds of items and this store kind of has this kind of item. So, it's kind of interesting.
Benji, do you have some thoughts? Do you have an incremental improvement to share with us?
Not really, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like I've been incrementally improving just based off what I've been learning. But in terms of my next step, I'm not too sure. My main thing is just to incrementally improve how I source. So I need to up how much I source. I need to get to the next goal and make sure it's consistent, and I understand that I can do it and keep my listing goal where it needs to be. And the other thing that I keep trying to incrementally improve is just the process. But what I'm realizing is a lot of the process is just learning. Like your process, I feel like I look at you and the people that do really well in here, and you give like the goals, and they're like, okay, you should be able to do things this fast. But a lot of how fast you can do any of those things is based on how much you know to start with. I don't know how to explain that part, but it's not like, oh, I need to know how to do the process. It's like, I need to know the item I'm holding to be able to do these things fast. To be able to list fast, I need to know what this is. To be able to research it, I need to be able to know what this is. To be able to know what I need to photograph about it, I need to know what this is. But that's just something that takes time. And I feel like the part of the process I want to speed up in terms of processing and all that sort of stuff that's really slow in my store. And it's just because I don't know enough yet. And that's just going to take time. And I can't really, fight that.
That's one of the big secrets of the group is that selling things you know exactly everything about is so much easier. So like, imagine you work at a bar and you need to memorize 35 different drinks to make for people. All of those are hard at the beginning. You don't know how to do any of them. You don't know any of the recipes. You don't know any of the formulas, no ratios. But then after somebody orders something and you know exactly how to make it, it takes like 30 seconds, but it used to take an hour per drink because you have no idea. And that's the secret of the time.
That's a great example because you can tell us how to make the drink. Like you are the person that can make the drink in 30 seconds. You're like, this is how I do it. This is each step I put into making the drink.
Yeah.
But unless you're off the top of your head know exactly what those steps entail, you can't make it in 30 seconds till you got your practice in and learned your reps.
That's right. And then it's easier to sell one ingredient drinks. Like if you're gonna sell a Nike jumper, that's so easy compared to something else because you already know what it is. You probably own one. But something you've never heard of or it's intricate, it can take you hours and hours for the same thing. So gin and tonic, most people could figure that out. But something fancier, it's going to take way longer, and you can be one thing off and the drink will taste terrible because the ratios are wrong. Carolyn, good morning.
Hi, Chris. I've been trying to take my productivity level that I have on our Friday listing parties and try to transfer that to an entire week. I was listening to your live question and answer yesterday on the replay last night, and you and Tech had both in the past talked about being productive and working at max capacity. And I know Tech has done something, however many in a day, and you've done so many in a day. And I want to try to, over the next couple days, get everything organized, get everything put away, make sure I'm starting from zero, be all prepped and ready to go. Is there any other suggestions you can give to me to help me? Because I want to try to do like a 7-day period to kind of like reset my entire store and be totally focused and as productive as I can. Because to be brutally honest, I have never in all the times reselling really had a productive 7-day in a row where I've been focused, no distractions, really nose to the grindstone just to see what I can do.
That's beautiful, Carolyn. Thank you for sharing that. Because if you know that you've never had a 1-week period where you've really crushed it the whole time productive, then you know where to start. So I think that I just put the link for the Friday listing party on YouTube and in the group. Please join. Last week was awesome. There was like 50 people in there. So I think you need a checklist. That's probably the best advice I can give anybody. A checklist of what you're supposed to do each day. Like, even though I haven't been on eBay for over a year now, I know my checklist, which is answer all eBay questions, manage cases, manage returns, send invoices for all unpaid items, send offers to watchers, relist cancellations, launch my drafts for the day, check Seller Hub at the end. I check Seller Hub at the end because Seller Hub is really distracting. So I want to be done before I check it. So I just do all the things in order. I have every one of those checklist things bookmarked on my computer. And it takes 7 minutes instead of it taking hours because I don't know what to do next. And then photographs and listing. And I think the more precise you are with that, it makes a tremendous difference. So I was talking to Taylor, who's been taking the packages for me to the post office. And I told him that he's not precise. And I hurt his feelings. I wasn't intentional. And he didn't understand me. He thought I meant like, he's not precisely picking up the packages. I meant like precise in timing. Like my schedule is so busy. Everything is like pretty organized to the time. He comes randomly at different times, which is fine because his job doesn't have a time slot. But that's the problem. Even though I have things that are not required to do at a certain time, I do them at a certain time because otherwise it's hard to be consistent. So I think if the Friday listing party was exactly as planned, I think this is what it would look like. You would get to the Friday listing party. You would knock out your 10 to 20 listings in 1 to 2 hours. At the end, you'd put everything back. You'd update all your accounting. And after 3 hours, all your numbers would be done for the week. Your listing would be done for the week. You could fully enjoy your weekend. That would be ideal. But then you would need a really solid checklist of what to do and knock it all out in order to do it on Friday. And I was actually thinking about making a 7-day reseller reset where you establish a baseline. So in order for you to have a perfect week, Carolyn, you need to know what your current week is at.
Right. I think what I'm going to do is over the next couple days, just be more aware of that and create this checklist and see how everything can fit into place. And I think what I'm going to do is, like on Monday, start and do, part of my problem is I'm overly optimistic all the time in what I think I'm going to list. And then I have a pile sitting there that I didn't get to. So what I think I'm going to do is for like our regular 3-hour period that we normally do, I'm going to have those set up. And then I'm going to have another one set up of the same amount, another one set up. And by the end of the day, I'll see how much I'll go through the whole checklist for that 3-hour period, see how much I can get done, take those same amount, do it for the next 3 hours. And by the end of the day, know where I'm at. So then put those same amount aside for the next day and see how much I do, and then see what I can accomplish more than that, because hopefully I'm refining my process each day as I go along and just see what my max can eventually be by like the end of the 7 days. But the checklist, I think, is going to be fantastic for me because I get so unfocused sometimes that I don't even know where to start. So that's what I'm going to start on for the next few days and be prepped for it. So thank you.
So I'm going to give you guys a checklist, which is the only one that you can do out of order is sourcing. But you would pick your item from inventory, you would ship. I'm sorry, this checklist is out of order. You do customer service first. Customer service, pick items, ship, prep, price, photo, list, put everything away, reset to 0. Probably do customer service again at the end of the day, update your accounting. After you do all of that, then you go and fix your listings. If you have listings that need to be fixed at the end of your listing day. That's the checklist. That's what it should look like on Friday. I remember, because I think the visuals are important. When I heard the Empty Hanger and Alyssa Thrifts back in the day, they had a coffee date every week where they did their numbers together. That is a beautiful thing. So beautiful. One of the most beautiful things I've ever heard of in the reselling world. At the end of the week, have a cup of coffee with a friend and go over how it went. That's the best thing ever. Let's do that on Fridays. Benji? Actually, Matt first, then Benji. Matt, good morning.
Morning. So actually, this is to Benji's point earlier about just incrementally getting better at knowing what the stuff is. Like a little game I play, and I always kind of did this, and I didn't realize it. And then when I joined the group, I realized I was doing it. But like when I watch TV shows and movies and stuff, I try and pay attention to what the people are wearing and see if I can identify it. So I was watching the Magic Mike's Last Dance with my girlfriend, and
nice.
Which, by the way, nowhere near as good as the second one. But like when he's walking around, in his like I'm still a carpenter gear, I'm like, oh look, he's wearing like a Carhartt like fleece lined sweatshirt, hoodie. And then later on when he's like doing something, he's wearing, I'm like, look at that vintage Maxell guy in the chair shirt. So I'm like trying to like keyword the stuff that the characters are wearing. And I find that that's like super helpful. And I remember something that Tex said, like, I can't remember when he said it, but he just started like naming the clothes you wore during the week. He was like, I know what shirt you're wearing, Chris. It's a blah, 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 blah. And yesterday you wore blah. And he could just tell that by looking at it. And that was super impressive, something I wanted to do. I had a friend who was a shoe salesman, and back in the day, he could look at your foot and tell you what shoe size you were. And it was like one of the sickest magic tricks ever. Like he didn't need to measure it.
Yeah. He always refers to that when he's talking to me, like the video where you're wearing the Vineyard Vines turkey shirt. I like this part of it. Or yeah, that shirt, that's a good one. Or that shirt, it's not that cool. He'll know like level of coolness, how well it'll sell, what brand it is, all the features. the coolest magic trick for him is when he does hats, in my opinion, because hats, he knows like everything about which hats are worth more and how much more and what era and all that stuff. It's a really cool party trick. Benji?
Firstly, that I do that since I started reselling. I'm obsessed with like like looking at people on the street and trying to figure out what they're wearing.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend will frequently turn to me and go, "Are you looking at that?" Like I'm looking at a girl, but I'm just staring at her shoes, and
Sure
I'm
you
like
are.
trying to figure out what shoes she's wearing. And she knows what I'm doing. So and she just goes, "You're looking at her shoes, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." But yeah, I have a few questions. Firstly, what is the best way to fight an INAD?
With facts. That's
And
it.
no, but like process wise, where do I go?
You just report it as incorrect. Is that right, guys?
Yes, and there's a whole video in the group
Yeah, there's a
that
video in the
I
group
say
on
this
how to
thing
do
and
it.
it's labeled.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll find the video for you.
Next question. Did you manage to get out the reviews?
No, but I'm done now. So now I don't have any more excuses. So I will
I
get
have a
those
third
emailed to
question.
everybody.
I had a third question, but I can't remember what it is.
Okay.
I'll put my hand up and I'll figure it out.
Okay, Patty.
Hey, sorry about that. Last night, eBay opened in Chicago. The guy that runs the international shipping part for eBay, he asked what I sold. I said men's clothing. And he was like, "Oh, people really buy clothing off of eBay?" One, I thought that was a little weird. And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, what brands of clothing do you wear?" And he started telling me. And I said, "Well, what do you do with your old clothes?" He goes, "I give them to my cleaning lady." And I said, "How about you give me your card and you put them in a box, you're in shipping, and you send them to me?" And he said, "Okay."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because he
didn't
buys
know.
like $300 pairs of pants. He goes, "But I live in New York." And I said, "You're in shipping."
I didn't know. I didn't know you could sell used items on eBay, and I worked at eBay. I thought it was just all new items or vintage items. I had no idea that you could sell used clothing until 2014.
Really?
I did not know that. I thought eBay was only collectible or new. I had no idea you could sell used polo shirt. It didn't register to me because the only thing when I worked there, all I did was remove items that were not supposed to be on eBay. And at the time, this was the Palm Pilot era when I was on, that's before Benji was born. But when I was selling Palm Pilots on eBay,
Yeah.
I didn't know you could sell, I didn't even know you could sell used ones. I thought you only sell new stuff. And also people at eBay don't know because 86% of stuff sold on eBay is new. There are people at eBay don't know you can sell used items on eBay because how would you know? The only thing you've bought on eBay is new or collectible.
Well, the other thing that I talked to, I talked to a bunch of them, but when I talked, there was like a group of women that were there, and I said, it would be awesome. I said, for promoted listings, I said, well, you know how an Amazon repricer works? And they just looked at me like I had like 3 heads, and I was like, a repricer. And they had no idea what the hell